I should have known something was wrong when the humans stopped screaming. My name is Vekor. I am, or rather was, a tactical analyst for the Galactic Enforcement Collective. Notice I said was. After what I witnessed on Frontier Station 12, they reassigned me to census data collection. Apparently, surviving an encounter with baseline humans in combat makes you, quote, psychologically compromised for strategic assessment, unquote. They are not wrong. Let me back up. 3 months ago, I thought I understood warfare. I had studied every major conflict in the last 4 centuries. I knew the proper protocols, the established doctrines, the mathematical certainties of ship-to-ship engagement. Energy shields deflect particle beams at a ratio of 7:1. Kinetic barriers stop physical projectiles below Mach 8. Heavy cruisers outgun destroyers. Mathematics. Physics. Logic. Then I met Commander Bex Torin and her suicide squad of maniacs. But I am getting ahead of myself again. Let me start at the beginning, before everything went completely insane. Frontier Station 12 was a diplomatic outpost, technically neutral ground where the collective met with independent human colonies. You have to understand, humans were new to galactic politics. Only 70 years since first contact. Most species took centuries to leave their home systems. Humans did it in decades, and they did it angry. The Vorkan Dominion did not like that. The Vorkans are, how do I put this delicately, absolute bastards. Reptilian species, 12 feet tall, natural armor plating, and the diplomatic skills of a malfunctioning waste disposal unit. They had been pushing into human territory for months, claiming ancient territorial rights to systems humans had already colonized. It was my job to observe the negotiations, make notes, file reports. Boring, safe work. I should have taken a vacation day. The conference room was standard collective design. Circular table, neutral gray walls, translation matrices built into the ceiling. 15 delegates total. 5 Vorkans led by War Master Throck, a particularly unpleasant individual who smelled like rotting seaweed. 5 collective mediators, including myself, and 5 humans. 5 humans who walked in without a single weapon. Not unusual, you might think. Diplomatic protocols forbid weapons in negotiation chambers. But here is the thing about every other species in the galaxy. We wear our protection. Energy shields built into our clothing, subdermal armor, biological enhancements. The Vorkans had shields strong enough to stop a plasma rifle, and everyone knew it. The humans wore simple gray uniforms. No visible shielding. No armor. Nothing. Commander Torin was their leader, short by human standards, maybe 5.5 feet tall. Being dark skin, close-cropped hair going silver at the temples, and eyes that looked like they had seen every awful thing the universe could throw at someone and decided to throw worse things back. Gentleman lady, various non-gendered colleagues, she said, her voice pleasant and conversational. Shall we begin? War Master Throck slammed his clawed hand on the table. The sound echoed like a gunshot. We do not negotiate with prey species. The Dominion has made our position clear. Withdraw from the disputed systems, or we take them by force. Disputed, Commander Torin repeated, like she was tasting the word. That is an interesting way to describe star systems humans have occupied for 20 years. Tell me, War Master, do you dispute the existence of the sun? Because it is about as relevant to this conversation. One of her team members, a younger human named Kyle Reeves, snorted with laughter, then tried to cover it with a cough. Badly. Throck's head scales flared bright red. Anger display. Basic biology. You mock the Dominion? Your colonies exist because we allow them to exist. Your ships flee when our fleets arrive. Your people cower behind their defensive stations while real warriors take what is rightfully ours. Har, Torin said. She leaned back in her chair, completely relaxed. See, that is where you are wrong. We do not cower. We strategize. Big difference. Threats mean nothing without force to back them, Throck hissed. What force do you bring to this table, little human? 5 of you, unarmed. unshielded, soft. This is the moment. This is when I should have left the room. Torin smiled. It was not a nice smile. You know what I love about shield technology? It is predictable. Energy in, energy dispersed. Basic physics. Your shields can take, what, 7 direct hits from a standard plasma rifle before failing? 8, Throck said, proudly. Dominion engineering is superior to your primitive technology. 8. Great. Good for you. Here is a fun question, though. What happens when someone does not use energy weapons? The temperature in the room dropped about 10 degrees. I swear it did. Throck's scales flattened against his skull. Uncertainty display. The Accords forbid kinetic weapons in civilized warfare, he said, but his voice had lost some of its thunder. Oh, the Accords. Right. Those Accords your people ignored when you glassed the Theta colony last month. Those Accords you pretend to follow while murdering civilians. Those Accords? Throck stood up. All 12 feet of him. His 4 guards did the same. Careful, human. You are in no position to make accusations. Sit down, Torin said. Her voice had not gotten louder. It had gotten quieter. Somehow that was worse. You dare, I said. Sit. Down. And here is the thing that still gives me nightmares. He did. War Master Throck, veteran of 30 campaigns, conqueror of 6 systems, sat back down because a 5.5-foot-tall human told him to. The silence that followed could have been cut with a vibro blade. Now then, Torin continued, like nothing had happened. Let me explain how this is going to work. You are going to withdraw all Vorkan forces from human space. Every ship. Every outpost. Every last scout drone. You are going to issue a formal apology for the Theta colony massacre. And you are going to pay reparations to the families of the dead. Throck's laugh sounded like rocks grinding together. Insane. You have no leverage, no fleet in position, or no way to enforce these demands. True, Torin agreed. We do not have a fleet here. We do not have heavy weapons. We do not have shields or armor or any of the fancy technology everyone else relies on. She paused. We have something better. And what is that? Throck sneered. Motivation. Kyle Reeves stood up. So did the other 3 humans. Their names were Mara Wells, James Park, and Vincent Cross. I remember their names because I had to identify their bodies later. Well, try to identify them. There was not much left. No, wait. I am skipping ahead again. Damn it. This is why they put me on census duty. I cannot tell a story in linear order anymore. Yeah, let me try again. The 5 humans stood up. They stood there, calm and quiet. No weapons drawn because they had no weapons. No shields activated because they had no shields. Just 5 humans looking at 5 heavily armored Vorkans like they were mildly interesting insects. The collective has heard your positions, one of the mediators said quickly. His name was Ryler, and he looked like he desperately wanted to be anywhere else. Perhaps we should take a recess. Allow tempers to cool. Reconvene in. The station's emergency sirens cut him off, and red lights flashed. The translation matrix announced in 6 languages that the station was under attack. Well, Commander Torin said, still completely calm. That timing is either remarkably convenient or incredibly stupid. Which is it, War Master? Throck's scales had gone pale. I gave no such order. Your fleet did, though. 3 heavy cruisers just dropped out of hyperspace. They are targeting the station's defense grid, trying to disable our ships before they can launch. Classic Dominion tactics. She looked at her wrist display. Yep, there go the shield generators. And there go the weapons platforms, right on schedule. How did you? I started to ask. Because they are predictable, Torin interrupted, looking at me for the first time. No offense, Analyst Vekor, but your people built this station according to collective standards. Shields first, weapons second, structural integrity third. The Vorkans have been fighting collective forces for decades. They know exactly where to hit. The station shook. Somewhere in the distance, metal screamed as bulkheads ruptured. "This is an act of war," Ryler shouted. "The Dominion has attacked neutral territory." "Yeah," Torin said. "They have, which means the Accords no longer apply. Which means diplomatic immunity no longer applies." She looked at Throck. "Which means you are just 5 armed hostiles in a room with 5 unarmed humans." Throck laughed again. 5 unarmed humans against 5 Dominion warriors? This will be a short fight. "You know what?" Torin said, cracking her knuckles. "I was really hoping you would say that." What happened next took approximately 47 seconds. I know because I checked the security footage later. 47 seconds that violated every tactical principle I had ever learned. Kyle Reeves moved first. No warning. No battle cry. He just stepped forward, grabbed the conference table with both hands, and flipped it. The entire thing. It had to weigh 300 pounds. He flipped it like it was made of paper and sent it crashing into 2 of the Vorkan guards. Their shields flared. Blue energy rippled across their armor as the kinetic impact dispersed. But the shields held. Basic physics. Mass times velocity equals force. Energy shields dissipate force. Except Kyle had not stopped moving. He followed the table. Jumped on top of it while it was still crushing against the shields. Used it as a springboard. Launched himself at the nearest guard and punched him in the throat. No energy weapon. No blade. Just a fist. Moving fast. The shield did nothing. Shields are designed for high-velocity impacts, bullets, shrapnel, explosions. Not a human fist moving at, what, maybe 30 miles per hour? The physics were all wrong. The shield could not calibrate. The fist went right through. There was a crack like a tree branch snapping. The guard went down, clawing at his crushed windpipe. "Ah," James Park said. "That actually worked." Then all hell broke loose. Mara Wells grabbed a chair, swung it at another guard's head. Again, too slow for the shields to register as a threat. The chair shattered against the Vorkan's skull. He staggered. She hit him again, and again, each impact a little slower than shield activation threshold, each impact doing damage. Vincent Cross had somehow gotten behind War Master Throck. I still do not know how. 1 second he was across the room. The next he was driving his elbow into the back of Throck's knee. The shields flickered, protected the front and sides. Nothing in the back below waist level because who attacks like that? Humans. Humans attack like that. Throck spun around. Backhanded Cross with enough force to shatter concrete. Cross flew across the room. Hit the wall. Slid down. Did not get up. 1 human down. 4 to go. "Vincent," Mara screamed. Then something changed in her face. The anger I had seen before became something else, something colder. She stopped hitting the guard with the chair. Instead, she dropped it, grabbed his head with both hands, pulled his face down toward her rising knee. The shield flared again. Physics said the knee was moving too fast. A shield activated, protected the face. But Mara was already changing direction, twisted her body, used the momentum, threw the guard into the wall. Not fast enough for shields, just gravity and leverage. His head hit the metal with a sound like a melon splitting. 2 guards down. But the other 2 had their weapons out now. Plasma rifles. Military grade. They did not aim at the humans, though. They aimed at us. At the mediators. "Surrender or the neutral observers die," one of them said. Commander Torin looked at the guard. Looked at the rifle pointed at my head. Looked back at the guard. "Okay," she said. "Shoot him." "I beg your pardon?" "You heard me. Shoot the analyst. Go ahead. Pull the trigger." The guard hesitated. Throck roared, "Do it." Time stopped. I could see my reflection in the rifle's barrel. I could hear my heart beating. 3 beats. 4. 5. The guard pulled the trigger. Kyle Reeves was somehow already moving, already diving. He hit me from the side, tackled me out of my chair. We both went down as the plasma bolt screamed over our heads and melted a hole in the wall. "Stay down," Kyle hissed in my ear. "Shield your eyes." "What?" "Why would I?" The emergency bulkhead exploded inward, not metaphorically. Actually exploded. Someone had placed charges on the outside, breaching charges. The kind you use to board hostile ships. The blast was enormous. Fire and shrapnel and superheated metal fragments flying everywhere. The two guards with rifles went down screaming. Their shields protected them from the explosion, but not from the sudden decompression. Not from being sucked toward the hole in the wall. Not from the jagged metal that tore through their armor once the shields overloaded. Throck was still standing. His shields were better, military commander grade. He braced himself against the wind, against the pull, against everything. James Park shot him. I have to repeat that because my brain still has trouble processing it. James Park, who had been lying on the floor pretending to be unconscious, who had a gun. Where did he get a gun? He was searched. We all saw him searched. Later I found out he had swallowed it, disassembled, piece by piece. The parts were made of organic polymer, ceramic firing pin, chemical propellant, no metal, no electronics, nothing that scanners could detect. He had carried a gun inside his own digestive system, into a diplomatic meeting, just in case. The bullet hit Throck in the eye. The shield flickered, tried to stop it. Failed. Not because the bullet was too fast, because it was too slow. Subsonic round, in chemical propellant, moving at maybe 900 feet per second. Shields are calibrated for plasma bolts that move at the speed of light. Throck fell. His shields died with him. His body got sucked toward the breach. He got stuck halfway through, sealed the hole with his corpse. The wind stopped. The screaming stopped. The only sound was the emergency sirens and the distant rumble of the Vorkan fleet bombarding the station. Commander Torin stood up, brushed dust off her uniform, looked at the carnage around her. 5 Vorkan warriors, dead or dying. 3 dead humans. Kyle and Mara still standing. James getting slowly to his feet. "Right," she said. "Phase 1 complete. Vekor, you still alive?" I tried to speak. Nothing came out. I nodded instead. "Good, because you are about to witness Phase 2, and trust me, Phase 1 was the easy part." "Easy?" I finally managed to croak. "You call that easy?" "We had gravity and atmosphere," Kyle said. "Like that explained everything. Phase 2 is in hard vacuum, against 3 heavy cruisers, with no ships of our own." "That is impossible," I said. "You cannot fight capital ships without ships of your own." "The math does not work. The physics does not work. You will die." Mara Wells smiled. She had blood on her face. Some of it was hers. Most of it was not. Analyst Vekor, let me tell you something about humans. We stopped caring about impossible around the same time we invented fire. We have been doing impossible things ever since. This is just Tuesday for us. The station shook again. Harder this time, and something important had been hit. Life support, maybe, or the reactor. "We need to evacuate," Ryler said. He was hiding under the overturned table. "Get to the escape pods. The Vorkans will accept our surrender. A diplomatic immunity." "He is dead," Torin interrupted. "Just like Throck. Just like everyone on this station if we do not stop those cruisers. So here is the plan. Ryler, you take the other mediators to the escape pods. Launch immediately. Broadcast a distress signal. Get the word out about what happened here." "What about you?" he asked. "We are going hunting. You are going hunting. For 3 heavy cruisers." "How exactly do you plan to?" "Ever hear of a boarding torpedo?" Kyle asked, still smiling. Old human naval tactic. You take a small vessel, pack it full of people who are either brave or stupid or both. Shoot it at an enemy ship. Hope it does not get destroyed before impact. Then the people inside cut their way in and wreak havoc. That tactic is suicide, I said. Even with modern ships and shields. You are talking about using what escape pods? Against military vessels? With active point defense systems? You will be vaporized before you get within a kilometer. Probably, Torin agreed. Good thing we have a dozen pods and only need one to get through. The cold certainty in her voice made my blood freeze. You are serious. You are actually planning to. Already planned. Already prepped. We have been ready for this since we arrived. Why do you think we picked this station? It is old. Built before they upgraded point defense targeting. The Vorkans know that. That is why they attacked it. They thought it would be easy pickings. They were right about the defenses. Her smile was terrifying. They were very wrong about the prey. Another explosion rocked the station. Closer this time. We could hear people screaming in the corridors. Time to go, James said. He was reloading his impossible gun with impossible bullets he pulled from another impossible hiding place. Mara, you take Vekor and get him to the escape pods with the others. Kyle with me. Commander, you need medical attention. For the first time, I noticed that Torin was bleeding. A lot. Shrapnel from the breach had caught her in the side. She looked down at it like it was a minor inconvenience. I have had worse, she said. That is a sucking chest wound, Mara said flatly. You are not coming with us. Like hell I am not. This is my operation, my plan, my fight, and my crew, Mara shot back. Which means I am not letting you bleed out in a torpedo pod. Kyle and James can handle the boarding. You and I are getting to medical. Vekor can help. I can? I said weakly. You can, Mara said. It was not a question. They argued for another 30 seconds, yelling, swearing, using words I had to look up later. Then Torin finally nodded. Fine, but this is not over. When we survive this, we are having a conversation about chain of command. When we survive this, I will buy the first round, Mara said. Now move. We moved, out of the conference room, into corridors filled with smoke and emergency lighting, past bodies, some Vorkan, some collective species, all very dead. The station was dying around us. Every step forward was a gamble that the next bulkhead would not blow. The next corridor would not decompress. The next deck would not collapse. I lost track of time, lost track of direction, just followed Mara and tried not to die. We passed other survivors. Some were heading for escape pods. Some were just running. No destination, just away from the explosions. We found Kyle and James at the pod bay. They had 10 other humans with them, crew from the diplomatic transport. All armed now, all wearing emergency vacuum suits. Medical bay is gone, James reported. A direct hit 5 minutes ago. Nothing left but scrap. Torin went pale. Paler. Well, that is inconvenient. I can seal the wound, I heard myself say. I have basic field medical training. There are emergency supplies in the pod bay storage. Everyone looked at me. What? I said. You think collective analysts just push data? We train for crisis situations. Admittedly, not this kind of crisis. But I can keep her alive long enough to get to a real doctor. Do it, Mara said. Kyle, James, you have 15 minutes before the Vorkans finish destroying the defense grid. After that, this station is just floating debris. Make it count. The two men nodded, started loading into boarding pods with the others. 1 pod, 2, 3. I counted 12 humans total. 12 humans against 3 heavy cruisers with full crews. The math was insane. The odds were worse. They launched anyway. And I watched through the bay viewport as 12 small pods shot toward 3 massive warships. Watched as the Vorkon point defense systems opened fire. Watched as the first pod exploded. Then the second. Then the second. Then the third. 9 pods left. 8. 7. Look away, Mara said quietly. You do not need to see this. But I could not look away. I watched as the Vorkons destroyed 6 more pods. 6 more groups of humans burning like tiny stars against the black. 3 pods left. 2. 1. 1 pod somehow impossibly made it through the defensive fire, made it all the way to the lead cruiser's hull, attached itself like a parasite, started cutting. They made it, I whispered. They actually made it. Step 1, Torrin said through gritted teeth. I was sealing her wound with emergency medical foam. It hurt. A lot. She did not scream. Now comes the fun part. What is step 2? I asked, knowing I was going to regret the question. Mara's smile was exactly like Commander Torrin's. Terrifying. 12 humans just boarded a ship with a crew of 300. They have small arms, breaching charges, and really bad attitudes. Step 2 is they kill everyone on board. Step 3 is they take control of the ship. Step 4 is they use that ship to kill the other 2 ships. Step 5 is they come back here and we all go home. That is impossible, I said again. I had said it a lot today. Even if they somehow survive the initial breach, they cannot fight through 300 trained soldiers. They cannot capture a capital ship. The tactics do not exist. The weapons do not exist. The lead Vorkon cruiser's lights went out. All of them. Main power. Secondary power. Emergency power. Everything. 1 second it was a functioning warship. The next it was a dead hulk. What did they do? I breathed. Cut the power relays, Torrin said, like it was obvious. Standard human breach and clear protocol. First thing you do is plunge the ship into darkness. Enemy crew panics, scatters, becomes easy targets. But they will restore power. They have backup systems, redundant generators. Sure, eventually. But here is the thing about fighting in zero gravity and total darkness against opponents who trained for exactly this scenario. Torrin paused, coughed blood, continued anyway. The home team has a disadvantage. They know the ship. They think they know where they are. They are wrong. Everything feels different in the dark. Every corridor is a trap. Every junction is a kill box. The cruiser's emergency lights came back on, flickered, died again. Humans hunt in the dark, Mara added. We evolved doing it. Persistence predators. Track prey for days. Never give up. Never stop. The Vorkons are stronger, tougher, better armed. But they evolved on a world with 3 suns. They have never experienced real darkness. As if to prove her point, we saw flashes inside the cruiser. Muzzle flashes. Explosions. Brief moments of light that revealed nothing useful. Just chaos. The second cruiser started moving, positioning itself to fire on the compromised ship. No, I said. They would not. Their own people are on that vessel. Their own people are losing, Torrin said. The Vorkons do not take prisoners. They do not accept surrender. If you cannot win, you die with honor, taking your enemies with you. The second cruiser charged weapons. I could see the energy building. Plasma cannons warming up. This was it. They were going to destroy their own ship to kill the human boarders. Then the compromised cruiser's engines fired, full thrust, on a direct collision course with the second ship. Mara said softly. Kyle, you magnificent bastard. The 2 ships collided at combat speed. The impact was visible even from inside the station. Metal screaming. Hulls rupturing. 2 massive vessels locked together in a death embrace. The third cruiser tried to break away, tried to gain distance. Too slow. Both damaged ships opened fire. Not at the third cruiser. at each other, point-blank range, every weapon they had, tearing themselves apart, and in the process, tearing the third ship apart as well. It took 2 minutes, maybe 3. When the light show ended, all 3 cruisers were dead, drifting hulks leaking atmosphere and bodies. We stood there in silence, staring at impossible carnage. 12 humans had destroyed 3 capital ships, had done the mathematically impossible, the physically impossible. "We need to check for survivors," I said finally. "There will not be any," Torrin said quietly. "Orcan or human. Not from that." She was right. We searched anyway, found nothing but debris and corpses. The boarding pod had been vaporized in the initial collision. Kyle, James, 10 others, all gone. We made it to an escape pod, got clear of the dying station, broadcast the distress signal, waited for rescue. It came 6 hours later, a collective response fleet, analytical teams, investigators, all very efficient, all very professional. They asked me what happened. I told them. They did not believe me. Checked the security footage, checked the sensor logs, confirmed every impossible thing I had reported. Then they reassigned me to census duty, and for my own good, for the good of the collective. But here is the thing they do not understand, the thing I tried to explain in my reports, the thing that keeps me awake at night. This was not some special forces unit. This was not humanity's best warriors. This was a diplomatic team, mid-level officers, average humans. And they destroyed 5 Vorkan guards and 3 heavy cruisers using improvised tactics, primitive weapons, and pure fury. So here is my question for the collective, for the Dominion. For every species that thinks humans are weak because they do not have the best shields or the fastest ships or the most advanced weapons. If average humans can do this, what can their actual warriors do? I do not want to find out, and I pray to every god in every pantheon that nobody else is stupid enough to make us find out either. But I know someone will. Someone always does. They will see the humans and think prey. They will see the lack of shields and think vulnerable. They will see the primitive weapons and think inferior. They will be wrong, and they will be dead because humans do not need shields. They do not need ships. They just need a reason to be angry, and the universe keeps giving them reasons. 3 weeks after Frontier Station 12 became a graveyard, I was sitting in a census office on collective homeworld processing migration data, population movement patterns, birth rates, and death rates. The kind of soul-crushing tedium that makes you question every life choice that led you to this moment. I was good at it. Excellent, even. When you spend your days trying not to think about watching people die, data entry becomes a weird kind of meditation. Then Director Callis walked into my office. Callis was old, ancient by collective standards. 400 years, give or take. He had 3 arms, compound eyes, and a complete lack of patience for what he called bureaucratic nonsense, which made his position as head of galactic intelligence somewhat ironic. "Analyst Vekor," he said, settling into the chair across from my desk. "We need to talk." "I do not do field work anymore," I said immediately. "Medical discharge. Psychological trauma." "You read the reports." "I did. Written by idiots. You are not traumatized. You are educated. There is a difference." I set down my data tablet. "What do you want?" "The Vorkan Dominion has requested a formal peace negotiation. They want to end hostilities with humanity. They are offering territorial concessions, reparations, the whole package." "Good," I said. "Maybe some sense got knocked into them when they lost 3 cruisers to a dozen angry diplomats." "That is the problem," Callis said, leaning forward. "We do not think they learned anything. We think they are planning something worse." My stomach dropped. "Worse than attacking a neutral station?" "Much worse. We have intercepted communications suggesting they are massing their entire fleet, 200 ships, the largest military force they have ever assembled. They are calling it Operation Final Solution. I felt cold. That is a genocide fleet. They are going to sterilize human colonies. All of them. That is our assessment. But here is the interesting part. The peace negotiations are scheduled to take place on Virgil Prime. Neutral territory. Heavy collective presence. Completely secure. Or so we thought. Let me guess, I said. Humans accepted the invitation. Not just accepted. They insisted on it. And they are sending the same delegation structure. 5 humans. 5 collective mediators. And they specifically requested you as the senior analyst. No, absolutely not. Send someone else. Send anyone else. I am done with human negotiations. Callus pulled out a data chip, slid it across my desk. Before you refuse, watch this. Security footage from the human diplomatic transport, recorded 2 days ago. I did not want to watch it. I really, truly did not want to watch it. But Callus was not the type to take no for an answer. I loaded the chip. The footage showed a briefing room, standard human military design, Spartan, functional, uncomfortable-looking chairs, and standing at the front, very much alive, was Commander Bex Torin. She survived, I whispered. Watch, Callus said. On screen, Torin was addressing a room full of humans, maybe 40 of them, all wearing the same gray uniforms, all looking attentive. Listen up, people. The Vorkans are planning something stupid. We know this because they are Vorkans and stupid is their default setting. Intelligence suggests a fleet mobilization, full scale, everything they have. A hand went up. Young human. Male. Commander, if they are massing their fleet, why agree to negotiations? Because they think they are clever, Torin said. They think they can keep us talking while they position their forces. Then, when they are ready, they strike. Wipe out our colonies in one coordinated attack. Classic misdirection. It would almost be impressive if it was not so predictable. On another hand, what is our response? Torin's smile made my blood freeze, even through a recording, even knowing she was on humanity's side. We are going to let them think it is working. We are going to send a delegation to Virgil Prime. We are going to sit down at that table. We are going to smile and nod and pretend to negotiate. And while we are doing that, our fleet is going to be doing something much more interesting. The brass approved a counteroffensive? Someone asked. Yasked. Better. The brass approved Operation Spite in full implementation. No restrictions. But the room full of humans started laughing. Not nervous laughter. Not scared laughter. The kind of laughter you hear when someone tells a really good joke at a funeral. Inappropriate and slightly unhinged. For those who do not know, Torin continued, Operation Spite is what we call our contingency plan for dealing with numerically superior forces. It is based on a very simple principle. If you cannot match the enemy ship for ship, you do not fight ship to ship. She tapped a control. A holographic display appeared, showing Vorkan territory, showing their fleet positions, showing their supply lines. The Vorkans have 200 ships. Impressive. Scary. Completely useless if they run out of fuel, ammunition, and food. So here is what we are going to do. While they are busy mobilizing their big fancy fleet, we are going to hit their logistics, supply depots, refueling stations, and manufacturing centers. We are going to take away their ability to wage war. Commander, another voice called out. The collective will never approve military action on that scale. It violates 3 different treaties, which is why we are not asking permission. We are operating under human colonial authority, independent action clause. The collective does not have to know until it is already done. When the recording ended, I sat there staring at the blank screen. That was recorded 48 hours ago, Callus said. Since then, 17 Vorkan supply depots have been destroyed. 23 refueling stations have gone offline. 4 major manufacturing centers have experienced catastrophic industrial accidents. The Vorkan fleet is effectively immobilized. They have enough fuel to reach human space, not enough to fight when they get there, and definitely not enough to get home. So the humans are winning, I said. Why do you need me? Because winning is not the same as ending. The Vorkans are trapped. Their fleet is useless. Their economy is collapsing. They have 2 choices: surrender or escalate, and the Dominion does not surrender. Escalate how? They have nothing left. They have their fleet, 200 ships, fully armed, sitting in space with just enough fuel to reach one destination, and we think they are going to do something desperate. I understood then. They are going to ram their ships into human colonies, kinetic strikes, turn their entire fleet into weapons. Exactly. 200 ships moving at combat speed. The damage would be catastrophic. Billions dead. Maybe tens of billions. And you think the negotiation on Virgil Prime is connected to this how? Callus's expression was grim. Because the human delegation is not going there to negotiate. They are going there to deliver an ultimatum. And, knowing humans, knowing how they operate, that ultimatum is going to be delivered in the most dramatic, terrifying way possible. We need someone there who understands how humans think, someone who has seen them in action, someone who can maybe, possibly, hopefully prevent them from doing something that starts a galaxy-wide war. You want me to stop humans from being human, I said flatly. That is your plan. I want you to observe, to report, to maybe talk them down if things get too extreme. You have a report with Commander Torin. I watched her bleed out while 12 of her people committed suicide to stop 3 ships. That is not report. That is shared trauma, which makes you the perfect candidate. Will you do it? I should have said no, should have stayed in my nice safe census office processing nice safe data, should have learned my lesson the first time. But I looked at that data chip, at the recording of Torin laughing while describing how to cripple an empire. And I knew someone needed to be there, someone who understood what was about to happen. Fine, I said, but I am filing a formal complaint, in triplicate, with an addendum explaining why this is a terrible idea. File away, Callus said, standing. Your transport leaves in 3 hours. Try not to die this time. 3 hours later, I was on a diplomatic shuttle heading for Virgil Prime. The other mediators were already there. I was the late addition, the specialist, the guy who had survived one human negotiation and was dumb enough to try another. The planet was beautiful, blue and green, 3 moons, orbital stations bristling with defensive weapons. The collective had turned it into a fortress after several previous negotiations had ended badly. Nothing was getting in or out without authorization. Our shuttle docked. I went through security, standard protocols, scanners, searches, background checks, very thorough, very professional, completely useless against humans, but they tried. The conference center was massive, could hold 1,000 delegates. We were using a small room. Intimate setting, 20 people maximum, same circular table design as Frontier Station 12, same neutral gray walls, same translation matrix. I arrived early. The other mediators were there. Ryler had refused to participate, too traumatized. I did not blame him. His replacement was a collective auditor named Salas, young, inexperienced, terrified. Is it true? She asked me. What happened at Frontier Station 12? Did humans really kill 5 armed Vorkans with their bare hands? Mostly bare hands, I said. One of them had a gun he smuggled in his stomach. But yes, it is true. She went pale. And we are negotiating with these people. We are observing these people negotiate. Big difference. The Vorkans arrived next. 6 of them this time, led by War Mistress Sklent. She was bigger than Throck had been, more scars, more attitude. She looked at me like I was something stuck to her boot. "You are the survivor," she said. It was not a question. "I am a collective analyst," I replied, "a neutral observer. You watched your predecessor die, watched our warriors die. Yet you are here again. Either you are very brave or very stupid." "Definitely the second one," I said. She almost smiled. Almost. Then the humans arrived. Commander Torin walked in first. She had a new scar running from her left temple to her jaw. Shrapnel damage from the station breach. She wore it like a medal. Behind her came 4 others. Not the same team. Those people were dead. These were new, fresh faces. Same gray uniforms. Same lack of visible weapons or armor. Their names were Rachel Cade, Marcus Till, EVA Santos, and Liam Grant. I made sure to memorize them, just in case I had to identify bodies again. "War Mistress," Torin said, nodding politely. "Thank you for agreeing to meet." "We are here to discuss terms," Sklent said. "The Dominion is prepared to make concessions in exchange for peace." "Concessions," Torin repeated. "What kind of concessions?" "We will withdraw from 3 disputed systems. We will pay limited reparations for the Theta colony incident. We will agree to a non-aggression treaty lasting 50 years. Torin sat down, gestured for her team to do the same. "And in exchange? You cease all military operations in Dominion territory. You return all captured Vorkan personnel. You acknowledge Dominion sovereignty over the remaining disputed systems." "Ah," Torin said. "That is an interesting offer. Let me counter with a different proposal." "We are listening." "You surrender. Completely. Unconditionally. You disband your military. You open your borders to collective oversight. You pay full reparations for every human life lost in this conflict. And you issue a formal apology that is broadcast on every channel in known space." When the temperature in the room dropped, Sklent's scales flared bright red. "You mock us. We came here in good faith and you offer insults." "I offer reality," Torin said calmly. "Your fleet is immobilized. Your supply lines are destroyed. Your economy is collapsing. You have lost this war. The only question is whether you admit it now or wait until your people are starving." "We still have 200 warships," Sklent hissed. "We still have the strength to crush your colonies. You have 200 hunks of metal floating in space with barely enough fuel to reach our territory. You ram them into our worlds. You kill billions. Maybe. Probably. But then what? You are still defeated. Still broken. Still finished. The only difference is you will have committed genocide on your way out. And trust me, War Mistress, humanity knows how to hold a grudge." Marcus Till leaned forward. "Let me paint you a picture. You attack our colonies, kill our civilians, billions of them. You think that ends the war? No, that starts a new war. The kind where we do not play nice anymore. The kind where we hunt down every Vorkan in the galaxy. The kind where your species becomes a cautionary tale told to scare children. You threaten us with extinction?" Sklent's voice was shaking. With rage or fear, I could not tell. "I threaten you with consequences," Till said. "You want to be monsters? Fine. We have experience dealing with monsters. We are really, really good at it. Ask the Nazis. Ask the Khmer Rouge. Ask the people who thought they could commit atrocities and walk away clean." "Those mean nothing to me," Sklent said. "They are human historical references," I said quietly. "Groups that committed genocide. Groups that were systematically destroyed in response. The humans do not forget. They do not forgive. They certainly do not let it happen twice." EVA Santos stood up, walked over to the wall display, activated it. "Let me show you something. Current positions of all Vorkan military assets. Your fleet, right there, sitting in the Kelvar system. Beautiful formation. Very impressive. Now watch." The display updated, showed new icons appearing, Small ships. Fast ships. Hundreds of them, moving toward the Vorkan fleet. Those are human attack craft, Santos said. Single pilot. Minimal shields. Armed with kinetic torpedoes. Each one carries enough explosive to crack a battleship in half. We have 900 of them inbound. Your fleet has enough power for defensive maneuvers or enough power to reach our colonies. Not both. So choose. Sklent was staring at the display. You cannot be serious. 900 pilots. You would sacrifice 900 lives just to stop our fleet? Who said anything about sacrifice? Liam Grant asked. Those are remote-controlled. No pilots. No lives lost. Just very expensive missiles with really good targeting computers. Well, expensive for the old economy. We printed them last week using captured Vorkan manufacturing centers. So technically we built them with your own resources. Thanks for that, by the way. I watched Sklent's face. Watched her scales shift from red to pale gray. Watched her understand that she had been outplayed at every level. This is not war, she said quietly. This is extermination. No, Torin said. This is war. Modern war. The kind where you do not line up ships and trade fire until someone wins. The kind where you attack logistics, morale, infrastructure. The kind where you make the enemy defeat themselves. You wanted to fight humanity? Congratulations. You just learned what that actually means. Silence. Long and heavy. I could hear my own heartbeat. I could hear Sklent breathing. Could hear everything. What are your terms? Sklent finally asked. Torin pulled out a data tablet. Everything I said before. Complete surrender. Full reparations. Collective oversight. Public apology. And one more thing. You are going to help us rebuild Frontier Station 12. Vorkan workers. Vorkan materials. Vorkan funding. You destroyed it. You get to fix it. Our people will never accept this. The Dominion does not surrender. Then the Dominion does not survive, Rachel Cade said. Your choice. Live as a vassal state or die as martyrs. Either way, this war is over. Sklent looked at her guards. Looked at us. Looked back at the display showing 900 incoming attack craft. I need to consult with our high command, she said. You have 1 hour, Torin replied. After that, we launch. And once those craft are moving, we cannot call them back. The targeting is locked. The countdown is started. They hit your fleet whether you surrender or not. The Vorkans left. Quickly. Professionally. But I could see it in their body language. They were broken. Defeated. Not by superior weapons or numbers, by superior strategy. By humans who thought 3 moves ahead and did not care about fighting fair. That was brutal, I said once they were gone. That was necessary, Torin replied. They needed to understand, needed to see that we are not prey. We are not victims. We are the thing that hunts the hunters. Did you really build 900 attack craft in a week? 1,800, actually. The other 900 are positioned around their homeworld, just in case they get stupid ideas about evacuating their command structure. Santos grinned. We do not bluff, analyst. When we say we are going to do something, we do it. When we threaten consequences, we deliver. That is the only way to deal with species that see negotiation as weakness. But what if they choose to ram their fleet into your colonies anyway? Salas asked. What if they decide martyrdom is preferable to surrender? Then we lose billions of people, Torin said simply. And then we burn their civilization to bedrock. And then we make sure every species in the galaxy knows what happens when you commit genocide against humanity. It is called deterrence. Future attackers see the price. Decide it is too high. Think twice before testing us. That is cold, I said. That is survival. You do not get to be nice when someone is trying to exterminate your species. You get to be effective. You get to win. You get to make sure it never happens again. The hour passed slowly. 60 minutes that felt like 60 days. We waited in that conference room. Torin calm. Her team calm. Me trying not to throw up. Salas actually did throw up. Twice. When the Vorkans returned, Sklent looked older. Defeated. The High Command has agreed to your terms, she said. Complete surrender. Full reparations. Collective oversight. We will sign whatever documents you require. And the public apology? Torin asked. Will be broadcast within 24 hours. Our leadership will address the galaxy. We'll admit our actions were unjust. We'll beg forgiveness from the human people. Good. See? That was not so hard. Sklent's scales flared briefly. Do not mistake compliance for acceptance. The Dominion remembers. We do not forget this humiliation. Neither do we, Marcus Till said. That is kind of our thing. Remembering. So please, by all means, remember this humiliation. Remember what happened when you attacked us. Remember that we do not have the best ships, or the strongest shields, or the most advanced weapons. Remember that we won anyway. Remember and tell your children. Tell your grandchildren. Tell everyone. Maybe then nobody else will be dumb enough to try us. The treaty was signed. Took 3 hours. Every clause negotiated. Every term specified. The collective representatives documented everything. Made it official. Made it binding. When it was done, when the Vorkans had left and we were preparing to depart, Director Callis contacted me. Well, he asked, did they prevent a galactic war? They prevented a Vorkan war, I said. But I think they may have started something worse. Explain. Every species in the galaxy just watched humanity force the Dominion to surrender without losing a single ship in direct combat. They did it with logistics, with strategy, with psychological warfare. They did it by being smarter and meaner and more ruthless than anyone expected. And this is bad because now everyone knows. Humans are not some backwater species that got lucky. They are apex predators playing by different rules. Some species will see that and decide humanity needs to be eliminated before they get stronger. Some will see it and decide they want humanity as an ally. Either way, the balance of power just shifted drastically. Callis was quiet for a moment. Write me a full report. Everything you observed. Everything you learned. I need to brief the council. What will you tell them? The truth. That we have a new major power in the galaxy. That they do not operate according to established military doctrine. That they are dangerous, unpredictable, and extremely effective. And that we need to decide very quickly whether we are going to be their friends or their next target. The call ended. I sat there in the empty conference room, staring at the table where a war had been won without a shot fired, where 12 people had convinced 200 ships to stand down, where humanity had proven that the most dangerous weapon is not the gun or the bomb or the ship. It is the mind behind the trigger. Commander Torin found me there an hour later. She had been filing paperwork, making sure everything was legal and documented. Very proper, very professional. You look troubled, she said, sitting down across from me. I am trying to decide if what I just witnessed was brilliant or terrifying. Can it not be both? I suppose it can. Tell me something, Commander. Did you really have 1,800 attack craft ready to launch? She smiled. What do you think? I think you had maybe 200, maybe less. I think the rest was psychological warfare, making them see a threat so large they could not possibly counter it. And if you are wrong, then you are even more terrifying than I thought. Either way, you won. You broke them without firing a shot, without losing a life. Very efficient. That is the goal. Win with minimum casualties, on both sides if possible. Why? I asked. Why does humanity care about Vorkan casualties? They tried to exterminate you. They killed your people. You had every right to destroy them completely. Torin was quiet for a long time. When she spoke, her voice was soft. because we remember what it is like to be on the other side. Earth's history is full of wars, genocides, atrocities. We have been the victims. We have been the perpetrators. We have seen what happens when you dehumanize the enemy, when you decide they are not worth saving. It never ends well. It just creates more war, more death, more reasons for the cycle to continue. So you show mercy. We show strength. We prove we can win. Then we offer a way out. Because defeated enemies who feel humiliated become future problems. Defeated enemies who are shown respect, sometimes they become allies. Not always. Maybe not even often. But sometimes. And sometimes is better than never. I thought about that. About everything I had seen. The violence at Frontier Station 12. The strategic brilliance at Virgil Prime. The humans who fought with fury but negotiated with wisdom. Your species is going to change the galaxy, I said. We already have. The question is whether we change it for the better or make it worse. That is what we argue about. What we lose sleep over. What drives us crazy? What do you think? Better or worse? Torrin stood up, stretched. Ask me in 100 years, if we are still here, if we have not blown ourselves up or been wiped out by the next threat, if we have managed to hold on to our principles while surviving in a hostile universe. Ask me then. She left. I sat there a while longer, processing, thinking, understanding. The humans had won their war, had proven they could stand against larger, stronger species and prevail, had shown the galaxy that Earth's children were not to be dismissed or underestimated. But they had also shown something else, something more important. They had shown mercy, offered surrender instead of annihilation, chosen strategy over slaughter, and in a galaxy full of species that only understood strength, that might be the most dangerous thing they could have done. Because now everyone would be watching, wondering, calculating. Could we exploit this mercy? Could we use their principles against them? Could we find the weakness in their strength? Somebody would try. Somebody always does. And when they did, when the next species decided to test humanity's limits, I hoped I would be very far away, because I had seen what humans do when they are cornered, when they are desperate, when they are fighting for survival. I had watched 12 people destroy 3 warships. I had watched 5 people force an empire to surrender. I had watched humanity win battles they should have lost and wars they should have never survived. No shields, no ships, just fury. That was the human way of war. And mercy or no mercy, principles or no principles, I never wanted to see it again. But I knew I would. The galaxy was a hostile place. Humanity had announced themselves and made their presence known. Proven they belonged. Now came the hard part. Staying alive. Staying human. Not becoming the monsters they fought against. I filed my report. Returned to my census office. Went back to processing data. But I kept the security footage. From both stations. Both negotiations. Kept it where I could access it. Study it. Learn from it. Because Director Callis was right. The balance of power had shifted. And when it shifted again, when the next crisis came, when the next species decided humanity looked like easy prey, someone would need to remember. Would need to warn them. Would need to say, do not. Just do not. They have no shields. They have no ships. They have fury. And fury is enough.